Movie buffs, welcome back to the Movie Bay. This is Day. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys my best attempt at ranking the Star Wars movies. Now, for those of you who know, I'm not what you would call a huge Star Wars buff. I'm more of a Star Trek guy. I prefer Trek to Star Wars. I do like Star Wars, but it's a beloved franchise to me. It really is. But I'm just not what you would call a ultra Star Wars buff. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out there who are Star Wars buffs. I'm not that. I do appreciate the films. I love the films. I have all 11 of the theatrical released films. Not really into any of the shows that's on Netflix. Some of them looked pretty good. I mean, not Netflix, Disney Plus. A lot of those shows, some of them looked okay, some of them didn't. The animated show was pretty decent, but again, my knowledge on Star Wars is basically surface level deep. So without further ado, let's dive in and let's take a look at the Star Wars films, how I like them, in the order in which I like them. My favorite Star Wars movie out of all of them is, and we're going to start with my number one and we're going to work down. I like Revenge of the Sith. I really like Revenge of the Sith the most. This is my favorite. And the reason why this is my favorite is because it's the definitive origin story for Darth Vader that I'm aware of. Now, again, some of you who are more knowledgeable of the Star Wars universe, comics, and all of that, this might not be the definitive version, but far as I know, this is the definitive version of Darth Vader's origin live on screen, and it was absolutely amazing. This movie absolutely banged. I loved it. It's a classic to me, and it's my favorite Star Wars movie. My number two, let's jump to Return of the Jedi. This is my number two. And my number three, and for some people, these two might be reversed. Some people will probably like this one before Return of the Jedi, but I'm going to go with The Empire Strikes Back as my number three. My number four, I'm going to go with New Hope. A New Hope. This is my number four. And this, look at that picture of Harrison Ford. Now, this is going to go back to the video I just did. Was it earlier in the week or even last week, where I discussed Al Pacino being offered the role of Han Solo. Could you imagine just seeing a young Al Pacino here instead of Harrison Ford? How would that have looked? I don't know. Next up, my next favorite is Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. It's my next favorite. Then, of course, we have The Phantom Menace. So this is Star Wars The Complete Saga, in case you're wondering. And all the movies are in here in like a book. Each page is its own Blu-ray and nice artwork for each movie. So I think I really like that. And there's some bonus material in here. All right. So that's the first 6 Star Wars movies. Next up, we're going to go to the 2 side movies. And I would absolutely say this is definitely one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and it is Rogue One. I loved Rogue One. Again, I am a huge sucker for origin stories, guys. Any movie that can tell me a good origin story of a franchise, or in this case, a part of a franchise, I'm on it, especially if it's well told, well shot, and everything else, well paced. Just this movie is excellent. So Rogue One, in case you're watching this and you might not be too familiar with Star Wars, Rogue One, this is the story of the ground force that was on the ground during the attack on the Death Star. In the movie, you know, we saw what was going on in space, how they brought down the Death Star. But if it wasn't for this heroic team of misfits down on the ground doing their part to help with that victory wouldn't have been possible. And I loved all the sacrifices that was made in this movie so they can be victorious and bring down the Death Star. Just a fantastic movie and a great story. I love Rogue One. Most definitely a banger. Next up is one that got a lot of flack. I get why it got some flack, but I actually enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed this movie, and this is Solo. I enjoyed it. Again, I took it at face value. I watched it, and I was entertained by it. I didn't read too deep into it like maybe some people who are a little bit more in-depth with Star Wars. Then I like The Last Jedi. I do believe this is number 2 in the last 3 movies. I like this one. Then The Force Awakens. And then last, The Rise of the Skywalker. Now, that's my ranking. That's how I like them. Now, some numbers real quick. All of these movies did well. All of them. I think the lowest one, far as box office, was 500 million bucks. That's the lowest. This is Star Wars as a whole. We're just talking the 11 live action movies. We're not talking about nothing else. Is almost an $11 billion franchise. 10 and some change. Let's just say for the sake of argument, this is a $10.5 billion franchise. Just the 11 movies alone. That does not include nothing. That has nothing to do with what's going on Disney Plus. That has nothing to do with all the damn toys, the merchandise, the animated series, the just everything that has to do with Star Wars. Just the 11 movies alone is $10.5 billion at the box office. Phenomenal franchise. Just absolutely. It is probably the juggernaut of all franchises as far as box office take. I'm going to go on the record to say it's the biggest selling franchise of all times. I would have to check, but not many franchises got 11 movies that raked in damn near $1 billion each. And some of these, like I said, they average probably $1 billion each, but some of them is like 500 million. Some of them, 2 of them, I think is 2 billion. Like, I think two of them is 2 billion on their own. So we're talking just the juggernaut of all franchises. It's got to be the biggest. Here's all my franchises behind me right here. This is my franchise shelf. And I can't think of another franchise. If you want to talk about single movie franchise, maybe the MCU is giving it some heat. Maybe. But maybe because of just how many movies there is in the MCU. But the MCU, you would have, in order to beat Star Wars box office wise, you would have to take the MCU in its entirety. Every movie, where this is just Star Wars. You couldn't do just Avengers and have it beat Star Wars. You would have to take the entire MCU into account if you want to come close to Star Wars. Because that's a $10.5 billion franchise with just the 11 theatrical releases. That's insane. But anyway, that's how I feel about Star Wars. So my breakdown on the first 6 movies, I love all 6 of these. Again, like I said before, and if you guys come around here, you know, I love them all. But I am a huge fan of the prequels because I look at the prequels as my Star Wars movies. I look at the 3 originals as my Star Wars movies too, but I was a little kid when they came out. I was an adult when Phantom Menace came out. Yeah, I was an adult when I was married actually when I was newly married when the Phantom Menace came out. So I enjoyed Star Wars. It was pretty much my turn to, have my own Star Wars, and that's what they were to me. So I am a huge fan of the prequels. Huge fan of all 6 of these. Fantastic. Make no mistake, I am a fan of all 6 of these movies, but I just prefer the storytelling for me in the prequels. I do. I really, really enjoy the prequels. And I know that's a controversial take because a lot of people despise the sequels. I'm not really sure why, but hey, everybody's different. Now, my take on the 2 side movies. I particularly love Rogue One. I like Solo. Solo was very enjoyable, but I really, really like what they did with Rogue One. This was a good movie. It really, really was. And now we're going to go to, I'm going to put them in order. We're going to go with the last 3 movies. Not a fan. I'll be honest with you. Not a fan. They had some good moments to them. And again, like I said, this one is my favorite. The second one, I didn't care too much for The Force Awakens. And I definitely didn't give a damn about The Rise of the Skywalker. And I'm going to tell you what issue I had with these movies. In my opinion, they were soulless compared to even the prequels. But for me, the first 3 movies probably got the most soul out of the entire 11 movies. The first 3 movies, they got a lot of soul. The prequels got soul and character. But these movies, I don't even know what her name is. Don't really care to know her name. She was dry. She was stiff. she wasn't charismatic at all. She didn't know how to sell the movie as a leading lady. I just didn't think she did a particularly good job in the movies. Adam Driver, who I think is a pretty decent actor, I'm not going to say he's great or legendary, who I think is a pretty decent actor, he didn't do a good job of selling the movies either. He didn't do a good job of selling those movies either. But that's my ranking on Star Wars. Take it for what it is. Again, like I said, I'm not a Star Wars buff. Never claim to be, never will claim to be, but I do like them. I do enjoy them. But out of the entire franchise of the 11 movies, I would say the last 3 were weak. And I think that her casting as the lead, and not because she's a female, and again, those of you who come around here, you know I really enjoy action movies led by females. I did a whole video on banging movies led by females. So that's not it. It's just this female. Her acting was just, in my opinion, stiff and dry, and she wasn't entertaining. She wasn't electrifying. It wasn't nothing there. So that's that. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.